Day one of free agency is in the books. Took a little bit of patience from Giants fans, but Joe Schoen made his moves. Took care of his own, addressed interior defensive line depth, and finally got their middle linebacker. Coming up next, we'll break down who's new in Big Blue and what's next. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tommy's Takes. I'm your host, Tommy G. You could have been anywhere in the world on this first day of free agency, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Please hit that subscribe button. Check me out on Twitter, TommyG105. Check out my Giants country team. Let's get right into it. Day one of free agency was interesting to say the least. Giants come in with needs at linebacker, receiver, interior offensive line, interior defensive line, cornerback. But it seemed like linebacker was on everybody's mind today, and that was the pressing need. And it could be how the day played out. Let's get right into it. First linebacker off the board, Tremaine Edmunds with a huge deal. $72 million, $50 million guaranteed. That's a lot of guaranteed money. Unbelievable amount. And honestly, I'm glad the Giants passed on that. That's a lot of money to give to basically an off-ball linebacker. Awesome linebacker, but Giants don't need to put that much money in that position right now. He comes off the board. You're thinking, okay, TJ Edwards, another great linebacker, got better and better and better with the Eagles. He's still out there. And he gets signed by guess who? The Bears. So the Bears swoop in, immediately almost signed two of the best linebackers in his class. So Giants fans are going crazy. Everything's getting hectic, but you're like, okay, you still have a David Long out there from the Titans. Dealt with some injury issues, but he's young, great against the run. Dolphins snag him. So now you're sitting there, you're like, okay, maybe the Giants are going to go linebacker in the draft early, but have no fear. Joe Schoen came through. He gets his middle linebacker, Bobby Okereke from the Colts. Really, really good player. He could play both outside linebacker and middle linebacker if you need him to. Sideline to sideline player. I mean, when you look at this from a standpoint of a deal, it was a 4-year deal, $40 million. Maybe they overpaid a little bit, but honestly, they got what they wanted. He gets $22 million guaranteed, and the Giants plug a huge hole at linebacker, and they needed it. I mean, the Giants at linebacker, and when these free agent linebackers started coming off the board, you're starting to think of like a realistic plan of, okay, this might actually be Darian Beavers and McFadden at middle linebacker. So Okereke comes on board, only 26 years old, coming off of back-to-back seasons in which he had 50 defensive stops or more and 100 tackles or more. Stout against the run. He was 13th in run stops last season with 13, coincidentally. Like I said, can play both Mike and Will linebacker spots, sideline to sideline range. Really good pickup for the Giants. You've seen him versus the Giants last season when he had those two, we'll call them suspect hits on Daniel Jones. And listen, at the end of the day, in free agency, you want to plug holes, right? You want to be able to not go into the draft with these holes, and the Giants did that. They got Bobby Okereke. He's fast. He's young, sideline to sideline. Solid PFF grade for anybody that cares about that. And the most important part about Okereke is he's a 3-down linebacker. You don't have to take him off the field if you don't need to. He's probably the best Giants middle linebacker. I mean, you could put Blake up there. Blake played very well in 2020, but probably since Antonio Pierce. That's how good this kid could be. The Colts let him go, but it is what it is. Giants had the cap space. They made it happen. Like I said, I thought it was a slight overpay for him based on the other deals that were doled out. Mostly, basically based off the TJ Edwards deal. That was, like I said, 3 years, $19.5 million. That was a steal. They got away with robbery there. So, but the Giants get their man. Got to be happy if you're Joe Schoen. Now you don't have to uber focus on that in the draft. And this kid's good. And you're going to see it when the Giants line up. Wasn't the only move they made, though. Also shored up the interior defensive line. They got Rakim Nunez-Roche from the Buccaneers. What did Joe Schoen when he was asked about the interior D-line depth a few weeks ago? Not great. So he got a guy, 29 years old, he's played in 102 games. He got a 3-year deal. $12 million, $7.5 million guaranteed. Listen, Giants could not stop the run at all last season. Giants fans know that. You gave up 600 yards rushing in 2 combined games to the Eagles in which your starters played. That interior D-line had to get addressed. So within a span of one day, you hit both levels. You got your middle linebacker and you got some interior D-line help. Excellent job by Joe Shane. Those were his 2 outsiders he brought in. Obviously, wide receiver might be next on the list, but he took care of some in-house business too. Signed punter Jamie Gillian to a new deal, 2 years, $4 million. I will say I'm torn on that deal. I thought Gillian was very inconsistent last year, and I'm not even counting block punts or drop punts that he had. I just thought he was inconsistent. He has a rocket for a leg. He's a left-footed kicker, which is awesome to have, but I thought you could find better. Maybe they'll bring competition in with him. No idea. They also brought back Casey Kreider, so that kicking battery is full. You got Gano, you got Kreider, you got Gilliam. All 3 of them are back. Kreider's the long snapper, has done a great job for the Giants. You probably don't know his name, and that's a good thing. You don't typically know a long snapper's name until he does something really bad. So that was big for the Giants. And then also, they brought back Matt Breida. So he got a 1-year, $2.3 million deal. That's with incentives. I don't know the breakdown yet. Breida did a solid job spelling Barkley last season. 54 carries, 220 yards, 4.1 yards per carry. Also had 20 catches. We'll see what this means for Brightwell. You do need 3 running backs. Do the Giants keep Brightwell? He's also the kick returner. Do they take a running back in the draft and cut Brightwell? Because right now you got the triple Bs. You got Barkley, Breida, and Brightwell. Giants will be good with that. They all 3 helped that running game last year and was a top 6 NFL running game. And that's where you're at for first day of free agency. Giants get their middle linebacker finally. Giants get some interior D-line help. Giants sign their punter, re-sign. Signed their long snapper. That kicking battery's back together. Backup running back in Breida. Only thing left is wide receiver now. And who the Giants want to take as a wide receiver, right? And the funny thing is the market for wide receiver didn't budge today. So I don't know if we're waiting for some trades to go through. We're hearing rumors that Giants might be interested in Jerry Jeudy from Denver in a trade. Hearing some whispers about that. Are people waiting for that Odell deal to drop? This is a unique wide receiver free agent class and where there's really no number 1 wide receiver, and really don't think Odell's a number 1 wide receiver, but seems like everybody's kind of on pins and needles waiting for that first chip to drop. We'll see what happens, but the Giants are going to be heavily interested. Would not surprise me in the least bit if they try to work a trade for a young wide receiver. Joe Shea said multiple times, we need to build around Daniel Jones. The time to do that is now. That's it for day 1 of free agency. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back for day 2. Let's see if the Giants get a wide receiver. Peace.